Hello, hi teachers. This is the instructional guide for primary 5, term 1, week 11. Okay, so for this week, 3 booklets. And let's start with the first one. Okay, the first one is on product of a fraction and a whole number. The idea here is to get them to understand the concept. What does 1/3 of 15 means? So 1/3 of 15, right, is 1 out of 3 parts of 15, right? So if you look at 15 here, right, there are 3 parts, right? And the whole thing 15, right, is 3 parts. So 1/3 basically means just one portion of the 3. Now, how do you calculate? So get them to understand that 1/3, right, of actually is the same meaning as times, right? Times. So 1/3 of 15 will be 1/3, right? Times 15. And unless they can simplify, divide, right? It's always multiply first before division, right? So that will give you 15 out of 3, right? And then 15 out of 3. Okay, remind them that this actually means divide. So 15 divided by 3 equals to 5. Okay. Same thing here. Okay, so what if it's 3/4? It means 3 out of 4. So it's 3 times 20 divided by 4. So I think this is quite easy to understand. And what I'd like you all to do, right, is basically just to skip some of the guided questions with them and move to page, let me see, this is still part of guided practice. So perhaps get them to just go to page 3. Okay, and you can choose maybe get them to do C. If they don't understand concept, right, you can get them to do D again, right? But the first way is to emphasize on how 3 out of 4 times of 16 is 3 out of 4 times 16. All right, so explain to them that 16 as a whole number is the same as 16 out of 1, right? 16 divided by 1. And so that's why you get this kind of so-called expression, 3/4 times 16 out of 1. Okay, it's the same as 3 times 16, okay, out of 4 times 1, right, which is 4. Okay, get them to understand this concept. Now, if you think they are clear with that already, then we should move on to the next one, which requires them to do cancellation, right? Simplify. So instead of multiplying 2 times 15 equals 30, right, they can actually simplify first. Okay, so for example, 2 out of 3 times 15. Okay, let me draw a line 1 here so that it's quite easy to see as well. So 2 out of 3 times 15, right? Let's see, 3 and 15, right? Is there, a number, is there a common factor, right? Is there a common factor? So 3 and 15, common factor is 3. 3 divided by 3 equals 1. 15 divided by 3 equals 5, right? So you might want to show them how this is done, because here the steps, right, unclear, right? 15, right? So the idea is identify the common factor between the denominator and numerator. It can be denominator and so in terms of the denominator and numerator, right, it can be diagonally, or it can be vertically. Okay, but in this case, I think 3 and 5, 15, quite clear that the common factor is 3, right? So 3 divided by 3, and when you do divide the 3, you take the bottom and divide by 3, the top you need to divide by 3 as well, right? That's how they do the cancellation. Okay, so show it this way. In the actual steps, you don't have to do it like that. They just do the cancellation, right? 3 by 3 equals 1, 15 divided by 5, 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Okay, so do it this way. If you're unsure, get them to do a few more questions. All right, then after that, I would skip, okay, most of this question here, and just get them to do maybe 1 or 2 word problems. So what about this? Mr. Lim baked 64 egg tarts. He gave 3 out of 8 of egg tarts to his neighbor. How many egg tarts did he have? Did he give? So 3 out of 8. Remember, of, right? Remind them. Use this as an opportunity to remind them. Of means multiply, right? Of means multiply. Okay, so that means it's 3 out of 8 times 64. All right, and then do the cancellation method and so on, and then write the answer there. Okay, And let me see. Okay, then we do one more question. 6. Now this question is a bit different because here it says he gave away 3 out of 8. And the question is not about asking how many he gave away, but how many left. So few ways of doing it. One way is to find out what is 3 out of 8 of marbles, then take 96 minus 3 out of 8, or just find out the fraction left. So 1 whole minus 3 out of 8 equals 5 out of 8, right? So this is 5 out of 8 is 5 out of 8, right? Is the fraction of marbles left. So basically just 5 out of 8 of 96, or 5 out of 8 times 96, and then you'll be able to get the answer. Okay, all right. Now let's move on to book number 2. Okay, so for book number 2 is product of 2 fractions, right? This is seemingly easy as well, right? How do you do product of 2 fraction? So to really understand what is of, right? So of means times. So if I say 1/3, okay, he ate half of the 1/3 of pizza, right? He ate 1/2 of the 1/3 of pizza. So it's basically 1/2 times 1/3. Okay, and so the same thing, right? If they can do division, right? Diagonal cancellation or vertical cancellation, do it first, but in this case they can't. So basically is numerator times numerator, 1 times 1 equals 1, denominator times denominator, right, equals 6. So you hit half of the pizza here. Sorry, is it half? Yeah, it's 1 out of 6 of pizza. I beg your pardon. Okay, and then get them to do maybe 3a, get them to try on their own, see whether they can do this. Okay, so here doesn't require simplification. Basically just multiply the numerator and the denominator, and they should get answer. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, and I would like you to get them to try B now. So B is 6 out of 7 times 3 out of 4, right? Get them to check the numerator and denominator first, whether there is a common multiple, right? Whether diagonally or vertically, right? Diagonally or vertically. So we will see that there's common factors, or I keep saying multiple, common factor. So common factor of 6 and 4 is actually 2, right? So 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 4 divided by 2 equals 2, right? So do the cancellation of that and write 2. Get them to do C, right? Make sure they understand, right? Always ask them to check whether they can find a common factor, right? Either diagonally or vertically, right? Between the numerator and denominator. Okay. And then after that, right, I would say, because this could be something new to the students, right? I would suggest that they do one more question, right, where they can do the cancellation on their own. Okay, and then after that, get them to do one question here. For this is basically just to find out the value on both sides. This is very tedious, so I wouldn't want them to work too many of them in class, right? The idea is just find out what is 3 out of 4 times 5 out of 12, find out what is 2/3 times 5 out of 8, and then they do the comparison. All right. Now for this comparison, all right, we need to do a quick recap. How do we do a comparison? If the numerator is the same, we compare the denominator, right? So denominator, if the numerator is the same, right? Denominator is, the bigger it is, the smaller it is. All right. Now, if the denominator is the same, then compare the numerator. The smaller it is, the smaller it is. Now, here you might want to remind them of the butterfly method as well, right? So butterfly method is something like this. Sorry, not times. Right. 1/3 and 3 out of 4. Or X-Men method, right? Which is bigger? Remind them. I think this was some of the students. So X-Men method, right? Do it cross it this way. Let's see, X. 1 times 4 equals 4. 3 times 3 equals 9. Right? So 9 is greater than 4. So therefore 3 out of 4 is greater than 1/3. Right? So that's a very good way to check. Okay. And I don't see much other than that, right? So all these are very tedious. I'll just get them to do a few questions as homework, and then we can move on to the next one. Okay, let's move on to the next one now, which is the last booklet. Okay, last booklet will be this one. Okay, so some word problems here, which require 2 steps. Okay, so should be quite okay, right? Maybe just get them to do the first one, right? Find out how many mango tarts there are. And then the question is how many mango tarts and mango tarts and pineapple tarts. So just add them together up to that. So here the language is this, right? What they need to take note of is 5, 7 as many. Now, 5, 7 as many, what does it mean? It simply means that, let me get my ink ready. So when you say 5, 7 as many mango, which means, right, the mango is 5, 7 of the pineapples, right? And of means times. So 5 out of 7 times 56. So basically just get them to understand the language, right? Of they already understand times. Emphasize that 3/5 of the mass of box B is different from 3/5 kilogram. All right, so 3/5 of the mass means 3/5 of, if the mass of the box is 40 grams, so it's 53 out of 5 times 40. Okay, so basically some of the key languages. I think the rest, yeah, so basically as many as. Try number 6 with them. All right, again 2-step. And I think the rest, could be, they should be able to get the answer. Perhaps do question 11. Question 11, these are tricky questions. 2 rows of ribbon. Length of the longer row was 350. Length of the shorter row was 5 out of 7. So they need to find out the length of the shorter row. And then to do this question is very tricky because they may add it up and then divide by 8. Right? They may add up and divide by 8, but that's actually not the answer. Right? You need, because it's 2 rows, so they need to work on each row individually. Okay? So length of longer row is 350, so 350 divided by 8, right? Maximum would be 43, right? And then for 250 divided by 8, maximum is 31. So then they add together, right? So these are tricky questions. And that's it for this week's P5 topics. Thank you.